Hello, friends. So today is Labor Day, September 2nd, 2019. Happy Labor Day, poor, very disrespected laborers. So every day when I'm doing these Lyft and Uber rides, this is episode number 31, by the way, and I'm going to have a solution to all of this as I go through the video, so stick around. But every day I'm giving people rides, and at least one or two or more comes up about how they're working hard and they're paid so very little, and what that means for their life and the consequences of that and the constraints it puts on their ability to live and just afford basic necessities. So today, right off the bat, ride number one, that happened with a really nice girl, really beautiful girl. Oh my goodness. I always notice that. But first ride right off the bat today, her name is Alyssa. I got her permission to talk about her. I told her I'd keep anonymity. Alyssa's a common first name, but she didn't even care if I gave her identity. So yeah, her name is Alyssa, and she works at Adidas shoe store. So big I don't know what their profit margin is. I'd imagine they're $1 billion company easily, right? But 13 hours a day, gets paid $9 an hour. Holy shit, nobody can afford to live on that. $9 an hour, 13 hours a day. I'm like, oh, you get overtime then at least, right? No, she's allowed to go right up to 40. She gets in trouble, disciplined by a gatekeeper if she goes over 40. So her cutoff is 40 hours a week. And I'm like, well, then at least you get a few extra days off, right? No, she's got other responsibilities, other things going on, very little time to herself. Like, oh, geez. And we didn't go into this, but I know most other people have other jobs they've got to go to. So, a good, about half the country cannot afford to live without government assistance, taxpayer money, subsidies, because their employers don't pay them enough to afford the cost of living. And it's not that they're lazy. Alyssa said that she can't even, no, Alyssa said she can barely afford to take care of her cat. I'm like, oh my God, that's golden. Usually it's like, the stats are the raw numbers of people's lives. Most people don't make the emotional connection as to what that means for everything else in their life. But this is one of those when you hear, I can hardly afford to take care of my cat. It's barely enough to take care of my cat. That's the word that she used. I can barely afford to take care of my cat. I'm like, oh my God, that's terrible. And other people, it might be I can barely afford to put food on the table. Or other people, I can't afford to put food on the table, so I need food stamps. And even with food stamps, I'm struggling to put food on the table. And it just goes on and on and on. And every month, you got new bills, because bills are residual. They show up every month. But almost nobody is making residual money to meet those residual bills. And people wonder why they can't get ahead. It goes into the solution I'll get into in just a minute. But our laborers need to be respected more with respectable wages. And she's like, yeah, I get employee of the month, I get these rewards, so that's nice. And I'm like, yeah, but if they really want to show their appreciation, they could pay you better so that you can afford to live better. She's like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like they do that as a distraction to keep you distracted from the fact that a lot of companies don't want to pay their employees a living wage. So they'll have stupid pieces of recognition like that and little perks designed to keep people distracted. It's like they do that on purpose, not to acknowledge them because it's in a good place of their heart, but to keep them distracted from the fact that laborers are not paid a livable wage. And that's bullshit. So the opponents of paying people a livable wage will say, oh, they're just lazy, they need to work hard. No, these people are working very hard. So what I'm arguing, and what people of good faith and good conscience are arguing, is that people who are going to work 40 plus hours a week should be paid enough money to afford at least the minimum cost of living without having to require help from the government. So that's all people like me and others are arguing for with the Fight for 15 movement and tying that to inflation. And then I would go further by saying in different areas of the country, the cost of living is vastly different. So maybe there should be a different minimum wage depending on the area of the country that you live in too. Instead of just a flat $15 an hour across the board or whatever it might be. And $15 an hour, by the way, that's still shitty wages. But at least that's enough to cover the cost of living right now. But that'll change soon because of inflation. So then how do you get ahead of that curve? How do you get ahead of residual bills showing up every month? They reoccur every month, therefore they're residual. It's not going to be with ordinary money, that's for damn sure. you have residual bills, why not have residual income? So in a nutshell, that's the solution. So then how do you get it? Because the majority of people have no idea what it is, let alone how to get it. Well, look for a good home business that has residual and passive income as their compensation plan. That's what I did when I got started back in 2007. And the great thing about that is that it was available to me having, actually my income was zero, really no money, no time. So it was available for somebody with no money and no time, and a bunch of other problems too. So that's the solution. You got to search out a home business model that has residual and passive money as the compensation plan. And that's the key ingredient, residual and passive income. And then you grow that. You just be eager to learn something that you don't already know. Get out of the box of what you're already familiar with and what you already know, and be eager to learn something new that can make a difference. And that's it. Sadly, there's very few people that are going to do that. I'm grateful that I'm one of the few that was going to do that, and so I did it. It took me personally 2.5 years to build that in my precious minutes of spare time, to where the job became optional. And thank God, because laborers are exploited. All of our government policies, all of our tax policies, they are designed to exploit laborers. And laborers, you're the ones that create all the wealth in this country. All the billionaires and millionaires exist because of you, because of laborers. And you'd think they'd be more appreciative by paying you at least $15 an hour or more, but they don't. They exploit you. They make you so poor that you need the government to help you through food stamps and other subsidies, or you can't make it. That's half the country. So that's the thanks that you get for being a laborer. And you pay the highest taxes in proportion to your income. It makes no sense. So legislatively, from a governmental standpoint, I'm one of the supporters for the Fight for 15 movement, so that you can afford to live if you're going to work 40 plus hours a week. And beyond that, I'm also a huge proponent of people who really do want to get ahead and own their own life and get into something that has residual money. So that's what I'm going to end this one on. How appropriate that my first ride today on Labor Day is the very beautiful passenger that I had, who labors her ass off and is disrespected with $9 an hour, and she can barely afford to take care of her cat. So the solution is residual and passive income. And if you want to see what I got into back in 2007, that I was able to start without having any money and without having any time, and I was able to build it anyway because I was eager to learn something new. That's really the only requirement, is eagerness to learn something new. If you want to see it, just let me know. I've got a link to a blog I wrote. It's about 5 or 10 minutes worth of reading time. Happy to send it to you. And if it turns you on and sends tingles out through the top of your head, then we can do it. Feel free to share this, comment below if you want to, and I'll talk to you later. Bye for now. Mwah.